OpenAI just released GPT 5.5, and everyone is asking the same question. Is it actually smarter than GPT 5.4 or just more expensive? For API users, GPT 5.5 is basically double the standard price of GPT 5.4, $5 per 1 million input tokens and $30 per 1 million output tokens, compared to GPT 5.4 at $2.50 input and $15 output. But this pricing mostly matters for developers and businesses using the API. If you use ChatGPT directly, you're not paying per million tokens like API users. So in this video, I'll use GPT 5.5 inside normal ChatGPT to see if it gives me better and more usable creative outputs than GPT 5.4. What's new in GPT 5.5? GPT 5.5 is rolling out to ChatGPT Plus Pro, Business, and Enterprise users, and GPT 5.5 Pro is rolling out to Pro, Business, and Enterprise users. Inside Codex, GPT 5.5 is available to Plus, Pro, Business, Enterprise, Edu, and Go plans with a 400K context window. For developers, OpenAI says GPT 5.5 will also come to the API with a 1 million token context window. Now, on benchmarks, GPT 5.5 is clearly stronger. On Terminal Bench 2.0, it scores 82.7% compared to GPT 5.4 at 75.1%. On GDP-Val, it scores 84.9% compared to GPT 5.4 at 83.0%. And on OS World Verified, it gets 78.7% compared to GPT 5.4 at 75.0%. But these benchmarks mostly test things like coding, tool use, computer control, and professional work. OpenAI says GPT 5.5 performs especially well inside Codex, where it can work with files, tools, documents, spreadsheets, and slide decks. But if I'm using normal ChatGPT, does that productivity still show up? Let's test it. Before jumping into the experiment, please subscribe to AI Fire if you find this video useful. Scoreboard. For each test, I'll judge the outputs using 5 simple standards. First is prompt accuracy. Did it follow the request? Second is clarity. Is the result easy to understand? Third is taste. Does it feel sharp, natural, and not generic? Fourth is usability. Can I use it with minimal editing? And fifth is difference. Does one result feel meaningfully better? I won't overcomplicate this with a scientific score. I just want to see which model gives me the more usable creative output. First, image generation test. I'm gonna choose an image and describe it in prompt only without showing the original image to either model. Then I would choose which model recreated the scene more accurately in mood, framing, lighting, and overall feel. The image I'm choosing is this one, and this is the prompt we're gonna use. So here is the picture GPT 5.5 generated side by side with the original image. And this is GPT 5.4. To be honest, I actually preferred GPT 5.5 over the GPT 5.4. As you can see here, I didn't describe the emotions of the girl, but GPT 5.5 did a nice job with her expressions. It seems really natural and laid back. And I gotta say, the 5.5 version has a detail that I really like is the nose piercing, which looks really subtle and surprisingly nice. For GPT 5.4, it looks overly edited, very high contrast, and a lot of shadow zone on the shirt and her hair. So on this test, this is what I'd grade them. In prompt accuracy, both of them followed the request, which is generating an image. In taste, both of them are very specific with the image. In usability, GPT 5.5 won this criteria because I wouldn't want to fix anything. It's already good to go. In difference, GPT 5.5 result gave out a little difference, but it was a nice detail, which makes it slightly better. The second test is text generation. For this test, I want to start with something every creator cares about: titles for our videos. The goal is simple: can it generate YouTube titles that are actually usable? So I'm going to ask both models to generate title ideas for this exact video. If one of them gives me a better title, I'll actually use it. For GPT 5.5, we have 1. GPT 5.5 versus GPT 5.4. Real-world test for creators 2. GPT 5.5 costs more. Is it better than GPT 5.4? 3. GPT 5.5, real-world test better outputs, higher price? 4. I tested GPT 5.5 versus GPT 5.4 on Real Creator Work 5. GPT 5.5 versus GPT 5.4, worth the extra cost in ChatGPT? For GPT 5.4, we have 1. GPT 5.4 Real-World Test for Creators 2. Is GPT 5.5 worth the cost? Real test versus GPT 5.43. GPT 5.5 costs more, so is it better than GPT 5.4? We tested GPT 5.5 for titles and images, worth the price, 5. GPT 5.5 for creators, real-world results versus GPT 5.4. The overall results aren't very different. They both nailed in prompt accuracy, clarity, logic, and usability. If on the first scan, I would say GPT 5.4 gave me more options in the 5 titles, while GPT 5.5 kind of stick with the prompt. On Reddit, people are also discussing whether GPT 5.5 is worth it. The guy 839 brought up, to be honest, most of their latest model are very underwhelming on client side. They mostly focus so far on token efficiency to lower the compute. I don't trust benchmarks. That said, let's wait and see real-life use. If they're focused on token efficiency, why are the answers so long and rambling? Michael Belgium said, looks like barely better than 5.4. Why did they release this? And hiding the scores, they can't beat Opus still better all-rounder. Special Tap 6635 commented on his first impressions after kicking the tires for a few hours. What actually improved? Coding is noticeably sharper on multi-step tasks. I gave it a refactoring job that 5.0 would have half screwed up, and it nailed the dependency chain. Image Gen 2.0 is genuinely wild. The sports graphics post elsewhere on this sub proves it. The text rendering alone is a generational leap. What is still meh? The conversation context window feels about the same. Long threads still drift. Creative writing hasn't changed much, still gets that slightly too polished AI voice. To me, I would say GPT 5.5 doesn't show that big of a gap compared to GPT 5.4. But what I really like about it is the image generation tool. It seems to have greater taste, and the images feel more natural. I think GPT 5.5 would have the opportunity to perform better in text generation if we gave it a longer format, like writing a scene for a short film or an article. Generally speaking, if you're only using GPT for daily chores and not work, GPT 5.5 wouldn't be that big of a deal. But if you're using GPT for creative work like writing, image generating, or data related, I think it will be very helpful. Please give us a like and subscribe if you think this video is useful. Thank you and see you next time on AI Fire.